Alright, so for any Australian viewers, you know exactly what this video is going to be about, but for everyone else, the ABC in my thumbnail is the public broadcaster in Australia. Think an NPR or BBC or whatever. And the title is referencing the fact that their investigative journalism show thing kind of like 60 Minutes, but not really. It's actually good usually. Um, they did an episode on the way that trans kids are treated or not treated, I guess, uh, is the way to word it, in New South Wales and particularly Sydney hospitals. Now, I will admit I did not watch the Four Corners episode itself, but the editorials put out by the ABC about why they did this and the conversation around it is what I have read because I'm more of a read the article type person than a watch 40 minutes of content about something that I already know is a topic that is kind of fucked. Um anyway, uh as the title says, can you all leave trans kids alone for like 5 minutes? Is that too much to ask? Because I the ABC generally is pretty alright. I will say I will admit that, and I usually like what the ABC puts out, but in this case they're like, oh yes, we are being impartial and we're going to talk to both sides of the debate when it comes to what to do about trans kids. And I looked at who they platformed from the against uh giving trans people and trans kids human rights. And one of them happened to speak at a turf rally. Wow. Isn't that so impartial of the ABC to platform someone that would speak at such an event? That's so cool of them. Also, did I mention that psychologist they platformed is maybe perhaps suspended from practice in Queensland? Whoops. Not so impartial with that one, are we, ABC? Um, might want to rein in whoever greenlit the dude in Media Watch. Uh, openly siding with the turf and platforming someone who's sympathetic to turfs as well. Uh, might want to check out what the hell you're doing there because there is like impartiality means giving everyone a fair chance when there is a debate, but there isn't a debate here. This is just ultimately it comes down to valuing cis lives over trans lives. Like there's this idea, like it's not said out loud, but it's essentially the idea that the chance that one cis kid might go through what pretty much all trans people do is worse than all trans people going through what we go through. Uh, because cis lives are more valuable. We got to protect the one cis kid that detransitions rather than the 99 trans kids that do need to transition to have a fulfilling life. That's just what is going on here. And I would hope that when you look at it that way, it makes sense as to why there is no debate here. Because even okay, let's say hypothetically that the detransition rate among kids that go on like puberty blockers and all that is 10% instead of like 1% or whatever, or 3, right? Let's say for the sake of argument that it's that high, okay? What harm will they befall? They might get embarrassed that they thought they were a boy or they thought they were a girl or whatever gender they went through on their journey to realize that they're cis. And yeah, medically speaking, puberty blockers are pretty reversible because they were not designed for trans people, funnily enough. They were designed for cis people with precocious puberty, which I think we can agree is not something fun to go through. Because, yeah. Anyway, so from that, we know that they are actually reasonable, and you go back and it's fine. You just have delayed puberty, which isn't the greatest, but it's like no harm, no foul, right? Like trans people have delayed puberties as well because a lot of us have a second puberty. Not all of us, because some people don't medically transition, but that's the thing, right? And when we get to like younger kids, it's literally wearing different clothes using a different name. Like I do that daily, right? Because I have non-supportive parents, so I basically cross-dress daily. So socially speaking, I can be whatever gender very easily. Um, yeah. It's just and okay, so let's talk about like people that detransition after going through some degree of medical transition. Those people do need to be supported. And like I fully support people that decide that transition isn't for them and want to reverse effects of it. Like that's perfectly reasonable. It's like how I want to reverse the effects of the cis boy puberty um and not have that. But I do have that. That is part of my journey as existing, right? So but you can't just shutter the pathway for trans people to exist by saying, oh, detransition is blah 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 blah. Like you're coming to that calculus of like, are cis lives more valuable than trans lives? And I would say that all lives are valuable actually. But when people are under attack, you don't say all lives matter. You say Black lives matter. You say trans lives matter, right? You say we're here, we're queer, we're not going anywhere because we're not going anywhere in spite of all these dumb attacks. And really, I wish people would just let kids be kids. Let trans kids be trans kids and don't be shitty and value trans lives less than cis lives. Looking at you, ABC. Stupid impartiality BS. It's not impartial to side with oppressors when it comes to a matter of, human rights.